My name is Agustín Pizá. My friends call me Augie, and today we're going to break down 5 of my favorite golf holes in the world. I fell in love with golf architecture, but first I fell in love with sports. And it was through golf design where I discovered and had the opportunity to fusion my 2 passions. I studied my master's degree in Edinburgh University in the cradle of golf. I lived there in Edinburgh for 8 years, worked part-time with Scottish architect Ken Moody. In my formative years, would I have the privilege and the honor to work with Paragon, with Jack Nicklaus, with Tom Fazio, with Gary Player, and I had the opportunity to work in golf courses where they were the lead designers. I was learning the ropes in the construction or in the project management side, so I really had the opportunity to soak it all in. Let's talk about the courses. The Old Course in St Andrews, Scotland, the way that I felt playing the Old Course for the first time, it is the equivalent of giving Mass in Notre Dame. Just the idea that you are touching and feeling and breathing and stepping on sacred ground. I mean, this is a very iconic place in the history of golf, or in history, period. So let's talk about hole number 1 at the Old Course, which is one of my favorites. A short par 4 with a burn or a stream right in front of the green. If you have a good driver, you have to really decide maybe to lay up. There is no reason not to hit the fairway because there's only one single cut in the whole fairway, and it's a double fairway with 18 coming back on the other side. So you have like a 300-foot corridor to hit the ball. Now, with that said, on any other course, it would be an easy peasy driver, but when you're on sacred ground of the Old Course, the R&A building is behind you. People that are just out there staring at you, you are really, or at least I'll speak for myself, but the times that I've played it and the first time it gave me goosebumps. It's a course that existed for decades, and either by accident or, you know, the touches of Old Tom Morris, how it evolved to become the best strategic course out there still to date. Now, something very exciting. This is a cool fact that now, you know, everybody thinks that 18 holes on a golf course is because there's 18 shots in a whiskey bottle, but that is, you know, that's the romantic side of it. The fact is that St Andrews started with 22 holes, and the reason it's now 18, it's because they needed room for their clubhouse, for the R&A building. So they cut the last 2 holes and joined the second last 2 holes with the existing one, and it became the existing hole number 1. And from there, we arrived to the 18 holes that the custom became the norm and became the rule. The Old Course gave me goosebumps. Standing on the 15th at Cypress Point, it really brought tears in my eyes. Just an unbelievable sight, designed by Alistair Mackenzie in 1928. Monterey Peninsula in California is one of the most beautiful, iconic pieces of land in the earth. Everybody talks about hole number 16. I prefer hole number 15 because it's just the way it's framed. Alistair Mackenzie is one of my favorite architects. He was a very forward thinker. You know, the bunkering for the military was done in rectangles, and he started creating different angles and shapes to those bunkers to confuse airplanes when they were flying over so that they didn't look like a regular military bunker. You take that camouflage, which he liked to call it, that camouflage effect, and he took it to his golf courses. So let's play a bit. I mean, it's not going to be exact, obviously, but let me put it this way. There are no rules in golf architecture. There are only guidelines, okay? You need maybe on any given 9, maybe you have 3, 3, and 3, or 2 and 2 and 5, which is the norm per se. And you know you're going to have different distances from there. But the great exception, and one of the things that Alistair Mackenzie did very well, was to actually think outside the box, and I'm a big fan of that. To put the back-to-back par 3s if this is 15, and then he was hesitant on 16 if it would be a short par 4 or a par 3, where Mrs. Hollins, actually a professional player back then, that influenced a lot, and actually once she put that shot right here, they said this has to be a back-to-back par 3. We're going against the guidelines, but this is going to be a memorable experience. And I think that everybody that aspires to be a golf course architect or any artist, you really want to create this memorable experiences, and Cypress Point 15 and 16, that's what it is. TPC Sawgrass at Ponte Vedra, Florida, hole number 17, a masterpiece by Alice and Pete Dye. It makes your legs shiver when you're out there. It is, through time, the most iconic hole, and it has created some fantastic stories.
It was better than most. Better than most.
Now here you have a different style completely. This is a out of the ordinary, let's make people suffer style of design, which is a thing that I love because, you know, as a golf course architect, I really love that our architecture will change with your sense of humor. You know, if you play bad, you hate us. If you play well, you love us. TPC Sawgrass, the brief was clear. I want the toughest, most challenging golf course for the tour ever. What a great brief. So now the mentality, the creativity, everything changes in the mindset of Alice and Pete Dye. So when they arrived to, besides the whole routing, which is a masterpiece, an 18-hole golf course should be designed like a great 18-chapter book. And you want that structure, you want that plot, you want that rising action, you want that climax, you want that surprising ending. You want all that structure in a very good 18-hole golf experience. So going back to 17, you know, it became very controversial as of late because the hole does not play well in gusty winds. It used to be played in May. Now that it's played in March, there was some pretty nasty gusty winds on Saturday morning where 29 balls were hit that day in the water at a professional level, at the tour level. This is unheard of. There's a big debate out there, especially, you know, Brandel Chambly, who's out there.
What happened at Kapalua was far more about integrity and not about chance. And today was less about integrity and more about chance. So even though this was more entertaining, I don't watch sport just to be entertained. I watch sport to be amazed at the athleticism and talents of the athletes. And today, I couldn't tell who was talented on this hole and who wasn't on this hole.
You know, he created some very valid points. Is it, you know, it's not necessarily a well-designed golf hole for that day, for that specific day at that time with that gusty winds. And fair enough. If on that day or in that particular season you had that gusty wind, would there be a bailout area here? Would they be some sort of area where maybe you create a tongue and maybe that bunker's outside here or even all the way over here, you create a different angle to it? And would this protect the balls from this wind? You know, if you overspin it or whatever, you would still be in this tongue and be able to put it in. We don't know, but that's part of the beauty of golf architecture, is that a great work of art is never finished. Club Campestre Tampico, the state of Tamaulipas in Mexico. Now let's go to Tampico Country Club, the first golf course that gave me the opportunity to become a golf course architect. The first one that believed in me, and I'm gonna break down hole number 17, a short par 4 that is just gorgeous, if I may say so. The number one thing that I look for when I'm designing are dynamic lines. What are dynamic lines? Diagonals, organic lines. When you're talking about static lines, you're talking about verticals and horizontals. So now we go to the hole, and the first thing that you're gonna see on this hole is a very good variety of diagonal lines from the tees. This creates one of the most dynamic holes that really create this perspective from the tee box. It is only a 340-yard par 4 that creates these landing areas that you will choose depending on your ability. So you don't have to force the driver because the bunkering is pretty vicious. For all the golfers out there, you know that golf is played backwards, so you have your shot. So what's your most comfortable shot? 100 yards? Then you want to hit here. 120, 130, then you want to hit here. 150, you can even just knock it into the first step. So this creates a very dynamic, strategic hole. Here we're looking at a green detail design. Here you create all these details. Here you have pot bunkers right before the green. Remember, you have a very easy high trajectory shot. That's what we're asking. So we also are asking for different shot types, low trajectory, high trajectory, fade, draws, etc. You have to have all of that in mind. So here you have a low, here you have a low, then you have a high, then you have another high that will protect you from any spin off. If they overspin it, they should be in the pot bunkers. But if it's just a controlled spin, this area will contain it. We're not gonna try anything unfair that a golfer didn't produce. So all of these green details, they give you the precise information of how the green is flowing, 1% here, 2% there, and the pin placements are also very important. You want at least from 7 to 14 pin placements so you can change every day and not have the traffic wear them down. So you have a week or a couple of weeks recovery between the changes of pins. So let's talk about Tobacco Road. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. Mike Strand's 1998, the year that I started my career. Tobacco Road is right in the middle, surrounded by beautiful historic golf courses. And you know which ones I'm talking about. It doesn't have the history, but it has the character. It has the soul. It has, you can see it, that it was handcrafted. Mike Strand's, I wish I had met him. I would love to see his sketchbook. I would love to stay in that cabin on 14, take it all in with a nice espresso in the morning and a big fat cigar in the afternoon. This is a fabulous story that was told from hole number 1 all the way through hole number 18. Now, if I want to get my spoon in this soup, I would change the nines. I would do the back 9 first and then the front 9 because I like to create some mystery and then show you the surprise. But Mike Strands did a great job on showing you the surprise right up front on hole number 1. The hole defends itself very nicely. It's a par 5 that if you ignore those land fills that arrive and almost meet and just create a small neck for you to put that driver within that and arrive to the big landing area, the hole is fairly easy, but it's just right in your face. With that said, why I would suggest changing to hole number 10, because hole number 10 starts with the plot. If that would be hole number 1, hole number 10, 11, and 12, which would be 1, 2, and 3, and then you start getting to what could be hole number 4, which is hole number 13, where the green just hangs up there in such a dramatic way that I would prefer to have that surprise in that area. And then you come down to that beautiful cabin in the par 3. Regardless, I still love it, how hole number 1 just evolves into all of this, that you dive into the deep end It's telling you the story right up front. It's like you're not playing a regular golf course. You are here to play something special in a special place by a special architect. The most important thing is that when you're out there on a golf course is to stop and smell the roses, listen to the birds. It's the surrounding of nature. There is no rules, only guidelines to a beautiful golf course. So when you're out there, stop, take it all in, breathe it all in, try your best, but it's not about the score. It's about the golf experience. You can look us up either on Instagram at Pizza Golf, P-I-Z-A Golf, and social media, Pizza Golf, and website, pizzagolf.com. Send some DMs, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, doubts, or strategy when you play our courses.